Well, hey, everybody. I'm assuming you're all able to see me. I'm Chairman Rob Frost, and I'm down here at Cuyahoga County Republican Party headquarters. We're ready to kick off our second quarter Finance Committee reception, which is a little different than our first quarter. Our first quarter reception, we were right across the street, just over from where I am now at the Union Club. But we're in unprecedented times now, and this quarterly finance reception is a virtual reception. I'm sure all of you are used to this sort of thing. Like a lot of things, you're doing it by Zoom meeting or WebEx or conference call, and we hope that you enjoy this today. We're working with Rock the House that is producing this so you all can see and hear us well. And many of you may be familiar with this is very similar to the way we broadcast our special briefing that we held right as this pandemic and the stay-at-home orders were beginning. When we were together with a discussion with Senator Matt Dolan about some of the work the Ohio General Assembly was doing, working with our governor and lieutenant governor as they were putting all the plans in place that we have then moved into with the stay-at-home orders. Now we're on the back end of that. We're starting to see Ohio open back up, and with Governor DeWine's announcements today, we're going to see May be opening up month or moving month, as I heard Lieutenant Governor Husted refer to it earlier today, that we're going to be moving back into Ohio's economy being fully operational. And you're going to see that means your Republican Party never having been non-operational, but going more from virtual things like this back to doing more things in person the traditional way we would have. We have with us tonight Chairman Jane Timken of the Ohio Republican Party, and Peter Corrigan, our executive committee chair here in Cuyahoga County. Now they're finishing up another little web conference, and I would ask our folks at Rock the House if they can make sure that meeting breaks up and put all those attendees into this main reception. And we'll bring Peter Corrigan and Chairman Jane Timken onto the stage with me here momentarily. In the meantime, a couple of updates I want to give you. So right now, even with the reopening of Ohio, mass gatherings of multiple people, particularly in an indoor space, are still not allowed. So we're still on hold in terms of rescheduling our Lincoln Day. We hope to get that rescheduled very soon. And one of the things we've been talking about, because even if things fully open up tomorrow, there are going to be many of you who may not feel comfortable coming to a big gathering and eating at a group dinner. And so we're going to probably do a blended event where there will be an in-person dinner that if you're able and comfortable coming to, you're going to be able to attend. And we do expect to simulcast that and ensure that we have interactivity with members who are going to be viewing that dinner from home, that they can not only see and hear, but like we're doing today, be able to ask questions and participate and bid on our silent auction items. When I talk about asking questions in that, you'll see on your screen right now, below my chin there, right over, which way do I go? Well, you see it. You're going to text your questions when we get to those to 216-220-7371. That will flash repeatedly throughout this. And so you can go ahead and get text questions in the queue early. Or you can wait as you hear Chairman Timken's remarks. They may make you think of certain questions that you have. A few of the other things that we've been doing that I want you to be aware of when I say that we haven't been idle and we haven't been non-operational. First and foremost, we've been working with our candidates in this primary election to get this primary election completed and to have it be a successful result. And so Chairman Corrigan and I know Chairman Timken on the state level, we've been working hand in hand with those candidates, particularly those who have been in contested primaries where we had made endorsements. And I'm proud to say that our endorsed candidates came through in the congressional and state legislative races where we had endorsements to make. And we also welcomed 3 new members from Cuyahoga County to the State Central Committee, all of whom were endorsed candidates by your Cuyahoga County Republican Party. Other things that we have been doing, we have been holding weekly town halls featuring, for the most of the time, featuring many of your elected officials who you know well, State Senator Matt Dolan, State Representative Tom Patton, State Representative Dave Greenspan, County Councilman Jack Schron, County Councilwoman Nan Baker, and most recently featuring our planned Lincoln Day speaker, J.D. Vance, was with us on our teletown hall this week. And all of those have been very insightful, very helpful, each in their own regard, and certainly to be talking earlier this week with J.D. Vance, who in my mind is one of the foremost conservative thinkers and writers in this country where we are today. So please look for those. We will have a teletown hall every other week, and in the off weeks, we continue to release our RPCC podcast, which Minority Engagement Director Colin Jackson launched, and we're now, I believe, working on episode 8 of that that will launch next week. And that is RPCC On Air, and you can access the RPCC On Air app from our website, podcast from our website, but you can also get it wherever you get other podcasts. So if you go to iTunes or Stitcher or any of the other apps or sites where you subscribe to podcasts, please go there, subscribe, download past episodes. You will hear, for example, we recently had Secretary LaRose on an RPCC On Air podcast talking about the primary election, and a little sneak preview. Tomorrow when we tape next week's episode, we will have United States Congressman Anthony Gonzalez on the episode with us. So those podcasts have been great, and we just continue to build listenership there. I already mentioned the legislative briefing that we had earlier, and that was like tonight's, a planned event that we held on the specified day, but converted over to a virtual event. And a couple of the senators were not able to join us. Senator Matt Dolan did, but the others who were not able to join us on that webcast do look forward to being with us in person once mass events are allowed again, and we can have groups of 50 and 100 and hopefully very big events like a Lincoln Day that we can do in person again very soon. Pitch that I want to give you all on the front end here is to have you know that and remind you that your Republican Party of Cuyahoga County is a 100% donor-funded organization. So when we held the legislative briefing back a month and a half ago, I mentioned that time we weren't asking any of the attendees that evening for anything other than just to stay informed, stay healthy, and let's all plan and get through this. As we are now on the edge, as we're starting to open back up, I do ask each of you, you've already supported the Republican Party of Cuyahoga County, you are a Finance Committee member, and we value that. And I ask you to consider, as you prioritize the causes that you support in the coming days and weeks and months, consider what you may be able to do, whether that's accelerating a payment or your renewal of your membership, whether that's maybe increasing your level of membership, or perhaps giving to our special funding initiative, which we have just announced over the last week, and which I'm pleased to announce here tonight, that Mike Gibbons has agreed to chair our special funding initiative. And so we're going to be continuing to work on that. We're going to be talking with each of you. We had a bit of slowdown in fundraising in the last month and a half, but we remain financially strong. We have over 2 months cash on hand for operations. We have a lot of membership renewals and membership commitments that are yet to be paid in that we can count on turning to each of you to get those in and make sure we stay healthy. But those added commitments that I ask you for, particularly in our special funding initiative or by upgrading your finance membership to a higher level, that's going to help us and the candidates that we support and serve to convert over into this new era of campaigning where they need to be more digital, more nimble, and quite honestly, spending more the old-fashioned way of direct mail with things that they might have done by going door to door or by shaking hands and being present at large community events. It's going to be a much more direct-to-voter campaign that takes a bit more money. Some of the digital things you can do very efficiently as a campaign and as a party organization once you spend the money to make the conversion over. And that's what you're going to help us be able to do and the plans in place that we already have. You can go right now tonight to our website to make a contribution. You can choose to upgrade a Finance Committee membership. You can give to our special funding initiative that we have announced. But most of all, I ask you tonight just to enjoy our show. Enjoy hearing and seeing Chairman Jane Timken as we bring her on the stage here shortly. Are you, I think they're ready to bring her on. There she is. So Chairman Jane Timken, I got to see you by webcam a little bit earlier before we started this. And so I'm glad you're now able to join me. This feels a little stilted here, but you all can see our great state chairman, Jane Timken, who's now with us on the screen. Jane Timken was elected chairman of the Ohio Republican Party in January of 2017 on the heels of Donald Trump's great victory here in Ohio on his way to winning the presidency. By doing so, she became the first woman to be chair of the Ohio Republican Party. And the job that she is doing, leading us through these very difficult times and holding our coalition together as we have, we're not like the Democratic side of things. The Democrats, many times, they just get in line and follow like sheep. You all, we know, all have very strong opinions, very thoughtful opinions to add to the discourse. And Chairman Timken is the person holding us all together, county chairs from all over this state that want to work together with our state party to deliver this state for Donald Trump, for our Supreme Court justices, to keep our delegation strong in the Congress, and to keep our majorities in the state legislature. So without any further ado, I turn our microphone over to the chairman of the Ohio Republican Party, Jane Timken.
Thank you, Chairman Frost. Thank you for having me tonight. I wish we could all be in person. I miss seeing all of you and your fabulous faces. I hope all of you are staying safe and you are taking care of your families. I am so pleased to support the Cuyahoga County Republican Party. When I ran to be chairman, I talked about making sure that our 88 county parties felt that there was a partnership with the Ohio Republican Party. We are a service organization, and we are in service to our 88 county parties and to our Republican candidates. Our job is to provide them the services and support that they need to get their candidates elected. And so that service doesn't change, even though we are in very unprecedented times. Many of us are staying at home and working from home, and the Ohio Republican Party is doing the same. We moved seamlessly in the middle of March to working from home, and we were able to successfully end one of the world's longest primaries, and I think we did so successfully. It was not ideal. We did not have in-person voting, and that to me personally was a disappointment, but at the time it is what we had to do given the dangerous circumstances of the coronavirus. And I think Chairman Frost alluded to this as well. We had some very successful candidates win, endorsed candidates from the Ohio Republican Party had an incredibly successful night. We worked tirelessly with them. Before we had to shut everything down, we were doing all great things as we usually do, which is mail and communications and support and voter contacts. But prior to the shutdown, we were knocking on doors and having days of action, and they were going incredibly well. I'm proud to say that we moved seamlessly into virtual campaigning for the April 28th primary. Because of the great technology that we have, our field staff all were able to do thousands of volunteer trainings, just like we are doing right now on a computer in a Zoom. And we trained thousands of volunteers and then made millions of phone calls. In just the last week before the primary, we made close to 1 million voter phone calls. And that was through our app technology, Campaign Sidekick. And so we were able to reach voters across the state to request and return their absentee ballots. And now we were moving on to the general election. We're less than 6 months away. We have a lot of work ahead of us. We have to reelect President Trump. We have to reelect Justices Sharon Kennedy and Judy French, our congressional delegation as well, and maintain our state house majorities. Make no mistake, the Democrats are going to fight for everything they can get in November, and you're seeing it. They're in cahoots with the news media. They are going to, every which way to Sunday, bash Republicans, bash the president. And we have to stand up and fight, because at the end of the day, what are the Democrats fighting for? They're fighting for their own power. They're not fighting to represent the interests of their constituents. They're fighting to maintain power. And Republican leadership is exactly what we need to bring us out of this coronavirus pandemic. We were before all of this shutdown from the coronavirus, our economy was at the greatest level it had been in decades and perhaps in history. We had record low unemployment. Our economy was booming. And it's because of President Trump and our Republican leadership of lower taxes, less regulation, pro-growth for business, that we will be able to bring this country out of it and make America great again. But we have to reelect President Trump, and we have to keep the Republican Senate, and we have to, believe me, there would be no greater day in my life if we could take back the House and get rid of Nancy Pelosi. So I know you're all great Republican supporters. I encourage you to support the Cuyahoga County Republican Party, support your Republican candidates, support the Ohio Republican Party. We all have a lot of work to do, and we need your help now more than ever. It's 6 months from now. I do not want to wake up and have regrets. I know we are all in difficult times, but in this, we can work together, and we've got to fight, because the Democrats are going to fight. And I'm in this fight with all of you. I think Governor DeWine has done an amazing job, and I am so proud of our Ohio leadership. He safely took us to a point where we could open back up again. And we're starting to hear some good news about opening up again. So I'm really excited about what's going on in Ohio. But again, we can have disagreements of how we do things and what's the best practice, but we have to fight for our Republicans and stick together and stay united. So thank you.
Wonderful. Chairman, thank you for that message. And it is so meaningful. We heard it. You and I were on a call, and Peter as well, of county chairs and state central committee members with the governor and lieutenant governor earlier this week. And we heard him talk about something that you touched on and you've got a huge role in. The media continues to try to divide Republicans and make it sound like President Donald Trump and Governor Mike DeWine are not on the same page, when we know they have a great working relationship. And we even see with the debate going on in our state, this governor understands you may not agree with his decisions. And if you don't, and if you come to him with information and a plan, they're ready to adjust. They're ready to say, those are things we didn't know. So let's evolve our plan now with the information you've brought to the table, and let's make this reopening even better. And so that has been great work on your part, and all of us supporting this governor and lieutenant governor, working with the president, not at odds with this president as we come out of the stay-at-home orders. So we're going to turn now to our question and answer session. And putting Chairman Timken on the spot with these questions. You're texting your, as you will see at the number below, but we're giving our first question this evening to our Finance Committee Chairman, Erwin Haber, who is here with us tonight online. And his question, Chairman Timken, is, the Democrats have moved their convention from July to early August, several weeks before the Republican convention. Given the social distancing concerns, is there any possibility that the Republican convention may have to move even later? And if it does move, how might that impact President Trump's campaigning efforts?
Yeah. So I am privileged to serve as the vice chair of the Committee on Arrangements. So I have some intimate knowledge of the planning for the convention. The word is we are full steam ahead. Our convention will begin in Charlotte on August 24th. And, I'll remind folks, we have had situations where we've had, to shorten the schedule. We've had, if you all remember, in Tampa, we had hurricanes and we still had our convention. We still went forward. The plan is for great events at our convention. I know for a fact they're talking about doing a Made in America week-long display with companies that make and manufacture and produce in this country. They're talking about a celebration for the 100th anniversary of women's suffrage, which will happen during the week of the Republican convention. The plan is to go forward. This is actually something that legally has to happen according to RNC rules. And I don't think it could be any later. Our convention would technically end on August 27th. And as you all know, that's probably a month and a week before our early voting starts in Ohio. And so boards of elections, as you know, Chairman Frost, have to start printing ballots. And so they need to legally be able to do that. So I don't think our convention will be any later. And I'm excited. Charlotte's a great town. There'll be lots of great things going on. And we are continue to organize that. I've been working on that, as a matter of fact, just today.
Great. Well, thank you on that. And I'm going to ask our folks at Rock the House to please bring Peter Corrigan up on the screen with us. And he has been receiving the questions as they are texted in. Chairman Corrigan, how are you? You got any questions back there for Chairman Timken?
Can you hear us okay? Yeah, thanks again for being on the call with us, Chairman Timken. We're very honored to have you. I do have a question, but it's not identified who it came from. It says, in light of the president's declining favorability ratings, which is fair or not, what plans does the party have to prevent Republican candidates in Ohio from being dragged down if he were to lose? That's an interesting question.
Well, I'm not sure about their declining favorability ratings. The recent is that I've seen that have come from the Trump campaign and the RNC is that it's actually his favorability and unfavorability really hasn't changed much since he became president. And it's a very similar playbook that we played in 2018. There will be some voters in Ohio who want to vote for their local Republican candidate, but they don't care for the president. And our message to them will be how great that local candidate is. But we are not going to walk away from the president. We will always support President Trump, and our job is to reelect the president. And I don't buy into that. Keep in mind that the Democrats and the media are in cahoots, and their job is to try to take down this president. And I just warn everyone, don't spend your days listening to CNN and MSNBC. The president is doing a fantastic job. And as I said previously, it's his policies that are going to take us and get America back on track and make America great again.
So, and I did check that. I pulled it up on Real Clear, Chairman, as you were answering. And mid-April, oh, I'm sorry. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Peter, why don't you go ahead if you have a next question? I'm following a little bit on this end.
Yeah, we have a couple of questions here. The first is, for Chairwoman Timken, do you see any of our congressional seats at risk, and any opportunity, if not, any opportunity for a pickup?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So I think it's no secret that Congressman Shabitz's race, just because of the demographics and the changing, he has Hamilton County in his district, and a large majority of it. That's a race that the Democrats have targeted. We are heavily involved in Congressman Shabitz's race. An opportunity that we have, and actually I had a pretty long meeting with her campaign and her staff, is Christina Hagan. You will remember she won the primary last Tuesday against and is now going up against the Tim Ryan in the general. And that is a district that our data is showing is moving in our direction. It is still going to be a challenge, but there's an opportunity for a pickup there. If she can get financial support and does things the right way with the beauty about our data and what we do, and in conjunction with our vendors that provide us a lot of data analytics, is we can be very targeted in who we talk to and how we talk to them. And so we know who the voters are that she needs to reach out to. It's a district that Senator Ruley picked up last in 2018. So we see a pickup opportunity there.
That came from Bill Summers. We have another question from Jamie McMillan, and it says, looking at the general election coming from an association with 88% of our 6,000 members being registered voters, how do we energize voters to take advantage of absentee early voting?
So as you probably know, Republicans like to vote in person, and we saw that in 2018, where the numbers of Republicans showed up and voted, and that's how we were successful in our statewide races. We are in discussions with some of the potential changes for the general election. Nothing significant. I'm adamant that Ohio has actually the best model for early and absentee voting in the country, with our 28 days of absentee vote ballot requests, and then the opportunity to vote in person. So we will be, once we have a final look at what November looks like, we'll be actively and aggressively talking to voters about absentee voting if they choose. And I hate to go back to data, but we have the data on who is more likely to vote absentee and who is more likely to vote in person, and we can have targeted messages to those because we have the vote history of thousands and millions of Ohioans.
Okay, they're coming fast. I don't know who this came from, but this is why does the Ohio Senate GOP, why are they not picking up and passing the House GOP passed bill to immediately limit extreme and total authority of Obama supporting action to help Cuyahoga and the state GOP? We need a functioning non-authoritarian society. There's huge unrest in rank and file. Waiting even an hours is not acceptable. So we have somebody that's
Yep.
railing against kind of what's going on here, and they're asking about why the House and Senate aren't in sync.
Sure.
I think that.
Look, I've said it before, and Democrats, they all get in line, they all get behind Nancy Pelosi, and they do what she tells them to do. Republicans, I always say, we are more critical thinkers. We have disagreements on things, and we have healthy debates. And the House and Senate are having a disagreement. The governor's having a disagreement. I think you probably heard the governor this afternoon say, hey, if you have a problem with what's coming out and the decision-making that's coming out of my administration, it's the governor. And if you have a beef, it's with the governor. And I know from experience, Governor DeWine will listen to people if they disagree with him, and he said the buck stops with him. You'd have to really ask Larry Obhoff, but look, I think now is not the time for the parties to start throwing punches at each other virtually. I think this is what the Democrats want. They want us divided. They want us in disarray as we go into the general election. And the more we disagree and fight, the easier their job is. And I don't like making the Democrats' job easy. I think we have to keep our eye on the prize, and that is winning our elections in November.
Yeah. I had a follow on, and then I guess it goes into a question, but
can I jump in?
Can
I jump in with a comment?
Can you hear him? Go ahead. Sorry. You want to go ahead, Rob? I'm sorry. Rob's muted.
I was just going to make a comment and many people may have disagreements with certain parts of what the governor is doing. I understand that the governor does. One aspect that I want people to focus on also, you don't have to put aside your disagreements, but what a conservative approach we have from Governor DeWine and from President Trump on certain things that over the decades we have held dear as conservatives. They have cut through red tape in terms of regulatory barriers to getting things approved. Think of, for example, Governor DeWine going to bat with the FDA and getting what Battelle had developed approved, and the president working with him, and the direct call from our governor to our president to make that happen. Or even just the simple matter of, if there's an aspect of the economy where business leaders didn't feel things were being handled correctly, the governor and lieutenant governor turned to business leaders to say, you all do this every day. We're in government, you're in business. Let us know how we can do this better and get government out of your lives. So that doesn't mean you have to let go of your frustrations, folks. I am frustrated myself. But when you look at the approach and the application of conservative principles and compare it to what we've seen in New York, in Michigan, in other places, we've got a great team leading us here. If you disagree, then that doesn't mean you need to shut up. Make your voice heard. Let's get it right in Ohio, and that's what our governor's working on, and Chairman Timken working right alongside him. So
Yep.
Pete, I'm turning it back to you. You're doing great.
Just we had a number of people on this call, but what we decided to do internally, we put our heads together, try to figure out what would make sense and what we could do here in our county. We organized a group of conference calls and sessions where people vented, they offered suggestions, comments, criticisms, whatever. And we sort of did these in 12 different conference calls. We put those comments together. We generated a memo that we sent out to the governor, and he answered within a day or two. And I think that was the impetus for the governor having a call with all the county chairmen last Monday night. So we sent our memo out, I think it was on Thursday, Rob. It's Thursday or Friday. We sent it out directly to the governor's email, and he responded, which was good. And it wasn't really, I wouldn't call it a kind memo. It wasn't a complimentary memo. It was just a memo with a lot of concerns and issues. And here's what people are worried about. And I think, to his credit, he answered that pretty quickly. He answered me within a day, and then 2 days later we had this, wide-ranging conference call with the state central committee people and the county chair people. So I guess my question is, it's a more of an easier question, and that's, what can we do to help you? And that seemed to vent and help some of the frustrations, and to get some of the message to Governor DeWine. What can we do to help you, Chairwoman Timken, and what would you like to see from us? Where can we step in and try to help?
Sure. And I think I've tried to make it clear that we are all in partnership together. I look at us as a team, and we can't be successful in November if your county party is not strong and successful. And I need all of us to work together. And by the way, the message I want to talk about I understand the frustration with what's been shut down and the devastation and the loss. And it's scary. And there's anger and frustration there. But I'll remind people that the governor's actually moving really fast. And he's in lockstep with what President Trump is talking about. And I see a lot of people either wanting to criticize the president and not the governor, or criticize the governor and not the president. We are all part of our Republican team. And I will reemphasize, the best message I can give to all of you is we all have to stick together, and we have to talk about our great Republican leaders and why it's so important to get them reelected, so that we can continue and open up this economy in a smart, safe way and get back to that prosperity we had before. And supporting your local Republican candidates up and down the ticket. And if you want to get involved in the Trump campaign, we call it the Buckeye Battalion. If you have extra time when you're at home, and you're not out shopping and running around like we usually do, there's plenty of opportunity to do campaign sidekick phone calls, get involved in some MAGA meetups. The Trump campaign's having some great virtual events. Women for Trump oftentimes have events. Contact us or contact the Trump campaign. Happy to get you more engaged. The more people that get involved in this year's election, the better. Other questions?
Well, that's great. Chairman Timken, thank you for being with us here tonight. We really appreciate you taking this time with us. We had planned on being here with you in person here in downtown Cleveland, and we know you will be in Cleveland here as soon as all the circumstances allow and we can do events together. You had a judicial salute planned. We hope to see that back on the calendar and be working with you to support our Supreme Court candidates. We all hope that President Trump will be in Ohio, and we here hope he'll be in Cleveland, but we'll travel if we need to see him. But we want to see these big events back on our calendar. We thank you for all you're doing. Also, I want to reiterate something Chairman Timken just said. I started out this session tonight asking you all to consider an additional financial contribution this year. But with what Chairman Timken just finished on, think about what else you can do. Be a volunteer for us, and you can do that right from the comfort of your home. And you don't even have to sign up to be making phone calls. Just what you do each day, sending emails, forwarding on messages that you get. You all are on the inside at being members of this party. As we get information out to you, take a moment and forward that on to 5 friends. Those little things that you'll do from home are going to help us make sure we get these candidates elected. And so with that, I do want to bring Peter Corrigan back in just to see if our executive committee chairman has any final words with us before we close.
No,
Peter?
I'll second. Sure. I'm not sure if I'm on mute, but I'll go ahead here. I'll second what Chairwoman actually just hit me and said, stop calling her chairman. She's chairwoman. So I'm sorry about that. I'll second what you just said. I was on 3 different MAGA meetups last week. And for the structure, which Jared Borg is overseeing, Leander Westbrook, and then she has people scattered throughout the county, and they're setting up MAGA meetups. I mean, these are great calls to be on because everybody is like-minded and everybody talks through the issues, and they talk about how they support Trump, and it's kind of invigorating. It's nice.
It's fun.
And then it gets capped off with some kind of help where you know, hey, can you make phone calls on behalf of the president? Can you do mailers? Can you help us somehow? And people sign up and they participate. So for the people on the call that are interested in getting involved, I mean, that's a good way to do it. And it's cheap, it's easy, and it can't even not be that time consuming if you're interested. So just want to pass it on. I want to thank you, Chairwoman Timken, for helping us tonight.
Yep, absolutely. Everyone stay safe.
Well, thank you. Everyone, exactly. Stay safe. Continue doing all that you can in your own community. Continue staying in touch with us. We'll be staying in touch with you. And thank you for your support of the Republican Party of Cuyahoga County. Have a great night, everybody. Bye-bye.